Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today, we're taking a look at some more of that video where Hannah's being interviewed by that super enthusiastic woman. I'm told she used to work for BuzzFeed. This is going to require a few episodes to watch the whole thing, so I hope you're down, because I am. In order to investigate, we must apply comb to mustache. This is about where we left off, where Hannah is telling Kelsey about the story where she went to the doctor and he said, in order to do your spinal surgery, you need to lose some weight.
And so there are many, many things I could have said to this doctor, and we ended up having quite a lengthy debate as someone who was like actually pretty well read on this subject.
Wow.
I'm sure the doctor loved hearing about how well read you think you are on this particular subject.
But the first thing I said, I was like, okay, well, to try to appeal to this doctor as someone who theoretically has a desire to do no harm, I'm going to disclose to him that I have a history of disordered eating.
Bruh.
And so I did. I said that to him. And I was like, that's not an option for me. Weight loss behaviors are extremely dangerous because I have a history of eating disorder.
When did you start claiming this whole I have a restrictive ED thing? Do you think Hannah always claimed to have a restrictive ED, or only after Tess Holliday said so? Let me know in the comments below what your theory is.
And first of all, he did not believe me.
That's weird. Man, this doctor should be stripped of his license. He didn't believe you.
He looked at me like I was lying to him.
Well, which ED did you say that you had? So at no point during this interaction did you have a point of self-reflection when you're like, a doctor just gave me the craziest look when I told him that I have a restrictive ED. I was like, Doc, I can't lose weight. I got the restrictive EDs, you see? And then he looked at you like this.
Bruh.
At that point, did you not have a moment of self-reflection? Did you not ask yourself the question, why? Why is this doctor, this medical professional, this man of both science and health, looking at me like I'm completely insane when I say I have a restrictive ED?
And he clearly didn't understand either, because he was like, okay, well, could you lose a little bit of weight?
Oh my God.
Why are you acting like you understand? All right, chick on the left, you can calm down. She's like, oh my God. I like how the doctor told Hannah, you can lose a little bit of weight, you know. You don't have to keep going until it becomes a problem. You aren't anywhere near a normal weight yet, so you can get down to the normal weight and then just stop right there. You don't have to keep going, you know. It's not like going down a slide, you know. You just keep going.
Oh my God. At this point in your life, have you been armored with like your research and extensive like activism? Like at this point where you like...
Yes, were you armored with your extensive research and activism?
So
fighting the man.
I was ready to fight the man, but I did not have the best understanding of how to do that in the healthcare system.
Ah, right, because you're not a doctor or a surgeon, right? So I wanted to say a bunch of stuff that made sense medically and scientifically, but unfortunately, I am wrong. Everything I'm trying to support and say is total bollocks. So therefore, when I try to present myself as an authoritative source, he just laughed at me, and people keep laughing at me. All right, maybe we'll use this for the thumbnail. Look at the chick on the left. Jesus.
So I had lots of information at this point, and I did not have the knowledge of how best to get my needs met.
Goddamn.
So you had the information, but you didn't have the knowledge. I see. Yeah, you see, the smart ones can separate information from knowledge.
So I actually don't recommend doing what I did, which was I fought this doctor. And
Dude, you punched him in the face? Oh, damn. Damn, Hannah ain't playing around. She straight up boxed this fool. Dang. I've always feared that one day it would come to violence with the fat activists. But assaulting a doctor in his very own doctor's office? Where do you draw the line? She said to the doctor, hey doc, let me show you my research. And then she presents it to him. And then as he looks down to take a look, boom! Uppercut.
I fought this policy for a whole year.
Jesus.
for a whole year. This chick on the left keeps interrupting, but I actually already know this story. Yeah, she fought the hospital's policy for a whole year. There's a video that I made about it.
A whole year. And this arbitrary policy.
Arbitrary? I don't know if I'd say there's anything arbitrary about this policy. I've heard that it has mostly to do with the anesthetic, and that anesthesia is stored in adipose tissue. So there's all kinds of wacky stuff that can go on, all kinds of complications. They only operate on obese people if it's an emergency, because it is so risky. So there's nothing arbitrary about it. He just decided that he didn't like the cut of my jib, and he told me to kick rocks. That's not what happened. He followed the guidelines set forth, madam.
And by the way, again, I had numerous conversations with him where I was like, okay, well then how are people getting weight loss surgery every single day if surgery isn't safe for fat people?
Yeah.
Those are emergencies, and they have to lose weight to get that surgery, which is ironic. In order to get the surgery to lose weight, you have to lose some weight if you're too overweight. And I'm sure the doctor loved this back and forth. I would have tapped out if I were him, like right from the beginning, as soon as you started questioning me.
And he was like, oh.
I would have been like, all right, man, get out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess they're specialists who work specifically on fat bodies. And I was like, okay, well, so what you're telling me is my body's not actually the problem. It's your lack of training on working with fat.
So you insulted the man in his own hospital. And this chick on the left is like, oh, shit. Oh, what the? Oh, damn, you got his ass. Like, dude, stop being so enthusiastic. It's driving me crazy. It's sucking the spirit right out of me.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it.
When people act that enthusiastic, it's so fake, and it just sucks the soul right out of me. I could have been in the best of moods, like, yo, hey, how's it going, everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then this chick is like, ah, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just like, putting a lot of memes in this bitch today. Look at Hannah. She's drunk with power. She's like, that's right. I told his bitch ass. First, I whooped his ass. And then I told him, yo, lack of training is why you can't operate on this larger body. Oh, wait. Then I called myself fat. Wait, do I call myself fat or living in a larger body? I don't know. I can't keep it straight myself anymore.
Yep. To which he was essentially like, yeah, but it's our policy, so there's nothing we can do about it.
He said, yeah, but it's our policy. Oh, so he acknowledged that he was incompetent. He's like, yes, I actually am a very incompetent surgeon. I couldn't stand up to the test of your larger body. This was the test that I could not pass. Perhaps a more skilled surgeon could have operated on you, but me, no.
He put blame elsewhere. It's the system in general.
Mm-hmm.
He put blame elsewhere. That sounds familiar. He put blame elsewhere. Kind of like when you keep blaming everybody else for all these medical problems that you have and shouldn't have because of your weight. He put blame elsewhere, eh? Isn't that ironic? Maybe we wouldn't be having all these medical problems and needing this man's help if we would stop putting blame elsewhere and take accountability for ourselves.
He couldn't possibly be the thing perpetuating the problem.
Dude, chick on the left, stop. Quit riding Hannah's jock so hard, man. And that was a very awkward pause after that.
No. And I mean, it was true. Their hospital did have this policy. And again, it's just so, it's such a, it makes me so mad how like arbitrary and how many barriers.
Why do you keep saying it's arbitrary? What do you know about anesthesia and medical procedures? All that adipose tissue on you is hormonally active as well, as I've talked about before. Like, this is not just a cosmetic thing. This weight is screwing your entire body every single second that it's on you. You're fighting against nature constantly to try to maintain this.
Barriers get put in people's way to accessing care because there are other surgeons and other hospitals that do not have this policy.
Oh yeah? Then why didn't you go to them? So instead of going to these other hospitals and doctors that do not have a weight limit, as you say, which I'm pretty sure is nonsense, you want to keep going for an entire year to try to get a surgery from this one hospital? I smell nonsense. Why you lying? Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Literally the only reason I even ended up being able to get the surgery that I needed, and again, by the way, I had to live with a broken back for a whole year, in the process of fighting to get this medically necessary procedure.
So you're out there just walking around with a broken back, having a ton of excess weight on your body as well, like it ain't shit.
The only reason I was even able to get it at the end was because I was making his life such a living hell.
Why didn't you go to another hospital? You said that, yeah, all these other hospitals could do it, but then you just keep harassing this one doctor. That's clearly not true, but it'd be funny if it was true. Like, she can go to any other hospital, any other doctor in the world, but she just keeps going to this one doctor. Like, he's like, no, I won't operate on people that are over a certain size, and she just won't stop trying to convince this man. He's like her Moby Dick. I can't rest until this one man agrees with me. You will operate on overweight people.
And he essentially was like, okay, well, obviously, like I said, we can't do this at our hospital because we have this policy, but the hospital next door doesn't have the same BMI cutoff. So I guess we could just change locations and do it at the other hospital.
You think that...
What? What? Dude, what? Why don't I believe that this story happened? Why would the surgeon who works for one hospital be like, all right, I guess I'll go next door to the other hospital. I'll just use their operating table or whatever. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't think that's how it works. A doctor just freelances between hospitals?
Would have been
like, why wasn't this offered from the get-go?
Like that, if that was always on the table, and I have to...
Well, dude, if it took you a year to come up with this solution... like I said, why didn't you go to one of those many other doctors and hospitals that you said would operate on you? You just keep harassing this one guy for an entire year. He keeps getting calls in the middle of the night, and his wife is like, all right, honey, just do the surgery so this woman will leave us alone. She keeps calling at all hours of the night. I can't sleep. I can't think anymore. I'm losing my freaking mind over here.
Ask just like personally... Did you feel comfortable at that point having him as your doctor to like perform surgery after that experience?
No, she said. After you had stalked him for an entire year and damn near broken up his family, his wife was on the verge of leaving him because of all the late night phone calls. And now you don't trust him to do the surgery?
Absolutely not. And again, this is one of the reasons why I actually don't recommend doing what I did.
Sure.
Because he showed me through his behavior that he did not respect me. He did not value my health. My health was not a priority to him.
Bruh.
Are you freaking kidding me? So you harassed this man for an entire year to go against company and hospital policy until eventually he caves and does this surgery for you. And then you have the audacity to say that he doesn't value your health and your health is not a priority to him? Talk about an immature and entitled mentality. After all he did for you, and clearly doing a decent job, you're not paralyzed or no longer living or anything. What an ingrate.
Yeah, and again, this is actually a good example of how fat phobia shows up in healthcare, because with my specific surgery, I actually had two surgeons, which is common for a double-sided spinal fusion. And so you have one that's called the approach surgeon, which is essentially just like a vascular surgeon who makes a safe pathway when you're entering through the front to get to your spine. And then you have the orthopedic surgeon, which actually does like the bone manipulation. My approach surgeon, who I met twice before my surgery, was the most kind, understanding, empathetic doctor I've ever encountered. Truly. The respect that he gave me during this process was so meaningful to me that I actually wrote him a thank you letter.
All right, so one of the surgeons was nice to you. Very good.
Afterwards, because it made such a radical difference. So he specifically went out of his way from the beginning to show me that he respects me and he values my health and that I am important. I just think it's such a clear, example of how this works, because the scar on my front, which the approach surgeon did, is like the smallest, tiniest, cleanest, best scar you've ever seen in your life. And then the scars on my back, which the orthopedic surgeon did, are mangled messes and absolute monstrosities, because he didn't care. I was like his enemy at that point, and he was just doing the surgery because I had essentially wore him down.
Right.
So why did you wear him down? You said that other hospitals do this. Why can't you do it?
And there's so many more there's so that whole experience of fat people in healthcare and the discrimination could be its own entire episode. But was it post this that you dove more into it as like your full-time job, that you just were like, this experience is so unfortunately common and fuck this, and someone needs to talk about it?
Yeah, so I have been an activist in lots of different ways for a long time, but that experience was the thing that made me an activist for fat liberation, because it was so wildly and overtly discriminatory, dehumanizing, again, literally holding my health for ransom.
They did the surgery, and you didn't even have to lose weight. The only one holding your health for ransom here is you. Some of these people, it's almost like they're gaining weight just to stick it to others. Like, what? You said I was too big? I'll stick it to you. I'll eat even more. They're hurting themselves just to spite others. It's the silliest thing ever.
Essentially, and withholding rights, resources, and services that...
There's no rights. You don't have any rights to spinal fusion surgery. You can ask a guy that happens to be skilled in that if he will please do the surgery on you, but there's no right to that surgery. He doesn't owe you that surgery. Nobody owes you anything.
Then people get without question.
Right. Yeah, and
then people get it without question because he can easily do the surgery. He just goes right in, boom, snip, 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 bang, bang, bang. You hit the spine with the hammer a few times. You sew it back up. Boom, you're done. Or such is my understanding of spinal surgery.
I'd love to dive into sort of the nuances of that you've talked about too in your content. But I first want to get, before we dive into that, is can you explain what health at every size means, and what does practicing this typically look like?
What does practicing this typically look like? Do you see the subtle jabs in that question, Hannah? Look at Hannah's face. She's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Now Hannah's going to be like, you want to know what health at every size looks like? And then she just stands up.
Yeah, so health at every size literally is just a framework that it's a framework for weight neutral medical care.
It's a framework for weight neutral medical care. It's not a framework, okay? It's not part of a programming language, all right? We're not going to use this in conjunction with some C++ or whatever.
People frequently will misquote or misrepresent health at every size, sometimes unintentionally, but unfortunately sometimes very intentionally.
Who gets to be the judge of what is proper representation of, quote, health at every size, end quote?
They will misrepresent it to say, like, oh, healthy at every size? No one can be healthy at, like, the most extreme points of blood, and it's just bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, then what does it mean then? If it doesn't mean healthy at every size, what's the difference between health and healthy? You're like, it doesn't mean healthy at every size. Don't be ridiculous. Of course you can't be healthy at every size. But you can have health at every size. What's the difference? That's the same word.
And again, no one is saying that, but also, like, there are people in very fat bodies who are healthy, so, like, fuck yourself, but...
No, there's not. There's nobody in very fat bodies that are healthy.
My kind of girl.
There's no healthy people living in very large bodies. Some people's spine doesn't even work. It needs to be reconnected.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but, like, again, what it is, it's a framework for weight neutral care. And if we lived in a world where...
A framework for weight neutral care. So basically, you've made a script for people to carry with them to their doctor's office, and it says something along the lines of, hey, I'm overweight, I know, and I don't want to hear about it. Just because I'm at the doctor's office doesn't mean I want advice on health, so shut up and don't weigh me, and all this other demanding, annoying stuff. That's your framework.
Fat phobia did not exist. Weight neutral care would just be called the health care that thin people
Right.
get.
Shit. Right.
And yeah, and so essentially what it is it's just saying, like, fat people deserve access. Well, again, people of all sizes deserve access to healthcare that is weight neutral, meaning that it is healthcare that actually serves the ailment that is presenting, and it is...
Translation, I want to keep going to the doctor with problems related to my weight and never have my weight brought up. Basically, health at every size is just pretending that our myriad of health problems are not related to our weight. But we always need to go to the doctor. That's funny how the health at every size movement centers around getting weight neutral care. Like, you guys need to get care so often that you had to start a movement around the whole idea that you need to treat fat people even if what they're doing, being fat, is what's contributing to their problem and they keep not working on it. Yeah, you need to keep treating them anyway and pretend it's not their weight. Well, it's pretty telling that you have to go to the doctor so often that you had to start this whole movement.
Not being diverted and distracted by body weight.
And that kind of...
Yeah, your healthcare provider and your physician should not be distracted by how healthy you are. I came here for advice on my health, not my health, you bastard.
I had another question later about correlation versus causation, and like your baldness and heart attack metaphor had me like dying laughing because it was so good. But like, can you kind of explain maybe correlation versus causation that leads to a lot of fat phobia in the healthcare system?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that I think a lot of people misunderstand. The type of messaging that we have been fed around fatness is that it's like this well understood, guaranteed scientific fact that fatness causes health problems.
It's not. All right, well, let's assume that fatness doesn't cause any health problems. No diabetes, it's not hormonally active, nothing. How healthy could you be if you're always carrying around a 50-pound weight in each hand? Or some people, a 100-pound weight in each hand? Or some people, a 150-pound weight in each hand? Could you climb up a flight of stairs carrying all those weights? Could you do a sit-up with those weights sitting on your chest? Would it strain your heart and lungs more than usual to walk around carrying those weights 24/7? Would that be similar to doing dangerous levels of exercise, like some people that have a restrictive ED?
Which just like could not be further from the truth, because what we actually know is that weight is correlated with health problems, but there has not been a causal relationship that has been established in the research.
All right, chick on the left, why did you just touch your nose and then point at Hannah?
That has been established in the research.
Like, yeah, you just hit it right on the nose. That's what I was thinking. Yep, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, dude, stop being this way.
And people don't know what
again,
correlation and causation is. And I feel like, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just had to like jump in and be like, I feel like people are just our generation. I literally get goosebumps thinking about it. It's like because of our generation.
You literally get goosebumps thinking about, what the hell, dude? What is happening?
Questioning and being like, well, no, we're dismantling these systems. People are genuinely learning for the first time what correlation and causation even is. That one, you'll probably be better at
right, doing all the word salad that you want and mental gymnastics that you want isn't going to mean that being obese is not unhealthy all of a sudden. No obese person is healthy, period. And it's insane that somebody who lives in an obese body would go around spouting all this nonsense like, you know you're uncomfortable. You know all the medical problems you have. You really think that they're just randomly happening to you and every other obese person too?
Explaining it, but...
No, that's 100% right though. And I mean, it's something that a lot of people don't understand, but anyone who's taken like a research methods 101 class should have had this conversation at some point, right? Like some really common examples that get thrown out all the time, like when you're in like a research class or whatever.
All right, this chick on the left, dude, is hanging on your every word. All right, yeah, so sometimes when you take a research class, you learn the difference between causation and correlation. And then you can apply that to your own research.
Bruh.
Is like, okay, so like there is a strong correlation in the summertime between ice cream sales and crime. So ice cream sales increase and crime also increases during the summertime. So based on that correlation, can we say that ice cream causes crime?
What?
No, we cannot. We know.
What? What kind of weak ass analogy is that, dog? What? There are many things that accompany summer, and you just named two of them. That's like saying diabetes and heart attacks must cause each other. But the thing that you fail to see is that it's most commonly obese people that have both of these things at the same time.
That's nonsense. Right. But these are the types of logical leaps people take when they do try to impose causation onto a relationship where there is only correlation.
What about confirmation bias? What about confirmation bias and your own personal feelings getting involved in stuff? How can you possibly have a neutral attitude towards the whole thing if you are emotionally invested in one side? This entire movement is tied into childhood issues that you have, personally. So there's no way in hell you could look at it objectively or scientifically.
And so specific to healthcare, like there are lots of different things that are correlated with negative health outcomes, like the one that you mentioned. There's a very strong correlation between male pattern baldness and cardiac incidence.
What? Dude, these would be moronic things to try to tie together to begin with, because it doesn't make any sense.
And so given that information, should we try to get bald men to try to grow hair in an effort to decrease their likelihood of having heart attacks? No, right? Because that's nonsense. Right. We can understand that baldness is not actually causing heart attacks. There seems to be a third factor at play, which contributes to both baldness and heart attacks.
Why are you playing games? If we see an obese person who can't even walk under their own power, it is obvious to even the most casual observer that their heart, lungs, and entire skeletal structure are under intense strain. That's about all we have time for today. We're going to have to pick this series up another time. It's going to take a few videos to get through this whole thing. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.